Hi, home cooks! Today I'm in the kitchen making a fall apple stuffed acorn squash. Roasted until golden and tender, this is a wholesome, satisfying meal that celebrates the flavors of autumn. Every bite has the perfect balance of creamy roasted squash, sweet apples with savory stuffing. The roasted squash halves are filled with a savory blend of seasoned stuffing and sweet apples. The perfect cozy side dish to go alongside any fall meal. So let's get into the kitchen. This is how I make an apple stuffed acorn squash. To start this recipe, I'm going to cut 3 acorn squash in half and remove the seed area. In a large casserole dish or a baking sheet, I'm going to drizzle the squash with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and season it with salt. Then place the squash skin side up and bake in a preheated 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius oven for 45 minutes or until the squash are fork tender. Now, while my squash is roasting away, I'm going to prepare the apple stuffing. In a large skillet or Dutch oven over medium heat, melt 2 tablespoons of butter and add in 2 ribs of chopped celery. Cook and brown the celery about 5 minutes. Now I'm going to add in 3 peeled, cored, and chopped apples. And for my warm fall flavors, I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, a half a teaspoon of ground allspice, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and season it with 1 teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of pepper. Cover and soften everything together for about 10 minutes. I'm going to give it a stir a few times to make sure everything is cooking evenly. Now I can remove it from the heat and add in 3 cups of dried bread cubes. The cubes that I'm using here today are some day-old bread that I cut into little chunks and dried out in a 200 degrees Fahrenheit oven for about 1 hour. But you could also use store-bought stuffing bread for this. And for a little pop of flavor and color, I'm going to stir in 1 cup of dried cranberries. And to bring the stuffing together, I'm going to beat 2 eggs together and then mix this into the breadcrumb mixture. Toss everything together. Now my squash is cooked and I can remove it from the oven and turn it over. I'm going to spoon the stuffing into the middle cavity of each squash. I have enough stuffing to give each squash half a pretty generous helping of the stuffing. Once all the squash are filled, I'm going to drizzle the tops with a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to reduce the oven temperature down to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius, and then bake the stuffed squash for another 30 minutes, or until the stuffing is set and toasted. Remove from the oven and they're ready to serve. This stuffed acorn squash is a perfect autumn side dish or a meat-free meal. Now that apples and squash are plentiful and at their freshest, it's the perfect time to enjoy this recipe. A colorful, flavorful dish packed with warm fall flavors. Perfect for any cozy night or your holiday table. And as always, you can find a link to the full written recipe in the description box below. Enjoy! If you're a fan of deliciously simple vintage recipes and old-fashioned skills, then you'll want to check out this next video. Thanks for stopping by.